Hey guys, Ali Duzette here. And oh boy, if you have a birthday coming up through the rest of October, you need to listen up. If you have a friend whose birthday is this month, you need to listen up and then share this video with your friend. This is important information, and I'm going to tell you all about it. First off, we have a series of eclipses coming up this very month in just a few days. The first eclipse of the month is going to be taking place on October 14th. So that's this coming Saturday. Today's Wednesday. And then on Saturday, we have this big eclipse. And then you can never have just one eclipse. You can only have them in sets of 2 or 3, exactly 2 weeks apart, because it all has to do with how the sun and the moon are moving and how the earth is moving in relation with them. But you can never have just one eclipse. You always have 2. The next eclipse is on October 28th. So I've been getting a lot of questions in my Facebook group about what if your birthday is in those 2 days? What if you have a birthday within that window? And we're going to talk about it today. Okay. So when you have these 2 eclipses bookending this 2-week period, we call it an eclipse portal. And during an eclipse portal, crazy things tend to happen. A lot of very bizarre coincidences tend to happen in people's lives. Just a lot of more extreme events than typically happen in normal life. And this is always true for everybody, whether or not they realize it. And that's really the big thing. You've lived through many eclipse portals before, but you just didn't know. But if you had a full list of all the eclipses that ever happened in your life and every little detail that happened to you during that time period, you would say, okay, yes, I'm seeing the connection. And you don't have that. It would take a lot of work for you to put it together, but just trust me on this, or better yet, this upcoming eclipse cycle. Why don't you hang out with me on YouTube? I am creating an eclipse series to help us get through this 2-week window. But just pay attention. You will see for yourself how things kind of seem to both slow down and speed up at the same time, how you start feeling these big resets, because that is what eclipses do. Eclipses reset your entire system. They reset your core sense of self. They reset the relationship between your core sense of self and your emotions. So you have a total emotional reset. You have a total reset of how you perceive your own self, and sometimes this is subtle. Sometimes it can be pretty extreme, but no matter if it is subtle or extreme, it is absolutely going to happen. So what does this mean for people whose birthdays are coming up in the month of October? Just because these 2 eclipses happen to happen through the rest of October, October 14th through 28th, right? So that is a great question. Now, when you take your first breath, you're born, wow, the moment of your first breath is the moment that we run a natal chart from. This is what an astrologer would read on your chart is the moment of your first breath. We take the time, we take the location, and we run this chart of the night sky. And the idea is that your life experience on the earth is going to be reflected in the night sky. I don't believe stars control anything. They can act as maybe influences, or possibly more accurately as reflections. And I've talked about this on this channel before, but that's the idea of the natal chart. But what happens is every time the sun goes back to the place that it was when you were born, we call it your birthday, and astrologically speaking, we would call it your solar return. It's when the soul returns to the exact moment on your the exact placement on the chart where it was when you took your first breath. And when that happens, wherever you are in the world, the moment the sun returns to that position, you get a new chart, and that's called your solar return chart. And it's a chart for the year. And the idea is that whatever's going on in the chart, your year is going to be a reflection of that chart. And that has been very, very true for me in ways that I haven't always loved, to be honest. But it does remain that a solar return chart can be remarkably accurate. I'll tell you a very quick story of my last solar return. So my birthday's in August, so I just started a new solar return, but my previous one had Leo rising conjunct Venus. And what that basically means, I thought, so Leo needs to shine and, be beautiful and majestic, and Venus deals with feminine energy, but often with money. I was like, oh man, this is the year. Like, I'm going to make so much money and like have this great life. It was a very rough year for me. And that is not how that Leo and Venus and Leo looked like for me. But I did have to focus a lot on feminine energy. I wrote a book on feminine energy during that solar return. And that focus, that Leo rising, instead of having me like shine so brightly, I felt like what it really made me do was dig within myself. I had months of pneumonia and then more pneumonia recovery, and I'm like still in recovery from pneumonia. My lung has been like aching today. But what that Leo rising really had me do is focus on myself. Leo is going to drive you to focus on yourself. And that is what I needed. And it's what I did, but in a totally different way than I expected, right? So solar returns might not show up the way that you think they will or want them to, but when you look back, it makes sense. So people with birthdays coming up in the rest of the month of October, your birthday, right? You get this new solar return chart. If your solar return is falling between October 14th and October 28th, you have an eclipse chart for the year. What does that mean? It means that your entire year is going to be colored with the energy of this eclipse portal. And this is important information because it does indicate that your life will probably be more extreme than usual during this year. This doesn't have to be bad. Okay. I have some people that were like very concerned, like, is my life going to fall apart? Is it going to be awful? It might, to be honest, but it might anytime. It might for anybody, any year. But the thing that you can count on with eclipse portals is just that the energy is just more extreme. So when I saw people feeling worried about this, I thought, no, I have to make a video about this. This is definitely worth being aware of and keeping an eye on, because if you're aware of it, then you can look at your life with this bigger perspective and say, okay, I get it. The stars have aligned for me to have a lot of more extreme experiences this year, and I get to choose if I'm going to use them for good or not. Am I going to use them to be my trampoline and propel me forward, or am I going to let them drag me down and get me mired in the mud? We get to choose. Now what energy you are heading into the year with. If you have that October birthday, between the 14th and the 28th, you are looking at a more extreme year. That does not have to be bad. So I will say I am an eclipse baby. I was born on a lunar eclipse. And I would think that most people would probably agree my life is more extreme than many other people's lives, right? And I've played my own part in that, right? Like I've built up this YouTube channel, and I put my life out there on various social media platforms. I have made my life more extreme, but also I had the astrological influence to have a more extreme life, right? It's a kind of a two-way street, maybe the stars aligned for me to have a more extreme life, but I definitely played into that with my choices, right? And it's going to be the same for everybody whose birthday is coming right up. You are probably going to have more extreme experiences than most of the other people that during this year. And it doesn't have to be bad. You can have a freaking amazing life, a freaking amazing year. You can have a good time, and you can learn a lot of things. The thing about eclipse portals is that they trigger resets. And when you have eclipse babies, eclipse people that were born during eclipses, they lead to big resets. I will tell you, not our current president, but our previous president was an eclipse baby. And I think we can see a very extreme life and the energy of resetting. And as an eclipse, when you carry a lot of eclipse energy with you in your solar return for the year, or if you carry it with you permanently, like I do, you yourself experience resets very quickly and very frequently. And you just being yourself triggers resets in other people frequently. Okay. So what you can expect if you were born from October 14th to the 28th is that you are going to have a lot of resets in this next year. You're going to see a lot of opportunities for change, a lot of unexpected situations arising that might take you by surprise. But if you have that good attitude and you go into it knowing, okay, this is my year for growth, this is my year for healing, I get to use the astrological alignment for some magnificent shifts, and I'm going to choose to use these shifts for a positive purpose, then you're going to have a great time and you're going to level up really fast. This is a really big blessing for you if you choose to use it that way. If you do not choose to use it that way, then I feel like I can probably guarantee that this year is going to kick your trash. Okay. So this is the wake up call. If you have a birthday between October 14th and October 28th, this year, things are going to show up for you out of the blue that are going to really make you reassess probably every aspect of your life. You're probably going to have to reassess your relationships and how you take care of yourself, how you treat yourself, and how you think about yourself. You may have to reassess your housing situation, your job, and a lot of different things. And I'll show you why just really fast. This is the chart of the eclipse that's coming right up. And as you can see, at the moment of the exact eclipse, this is taking place in the 10th house. This is the sun, the moon, and then the south node right here in Libra. The sun and moon are at 21 degrees, and that's what's making it this eclipse. And this is in the 10th house of reputation and, your job and how other people perceive you. Down here, we have Pluto in the 2nd house, which is going to be big transformations around your land, property, money, your sense of stability. So that is a big indicator to me that we're going to have to be questioning some various things. And in your personal solar return chart, you are unlikely to have a similar splay to this as far as the house placement. So you might have Pluto in the 8th house or Pluto in the 9th house. That's going to have you kind of revisiting how you feel about your spirituality, your connection with religion. Or it might have you questioning your ties to your ancestors, including your parents and maybe your siblings, so depending on exactly where the stars align for your solar return, it's going to be, unique and special to you. But the overall genre of this exact eclipse is showing us that we're going to have some big shakeups in terms of probably money and the economy. On a global level, that's what I'm expecting with this, is some shifts with money, land, assets of all kinds, just like money, business, economy stuff. And then also with alliances, which is really interesting given all of the current events that are happening right now. We're going to have probably a lot of big talks about whose side are we really on a national level, which side is which nation on? And then on a personal level, then we have to say, well, do I agree with that or do I not agree with that? And I think we're going to see a lot of people probably polarizing quite a bit. This eclipse is probably not going to be as polarizing as the next eclipse, because this eclipse does not end with an Aries full moon, which I believe it will during our next eclipse in April. I have to double check on that. But this time the eclipse ends with the sun in, I'm sorry, I'm trying to share and talk at the same time. Share the screen. This is the second eclipse. This is when it all wraps up, when the sun is at 5 degrees of Scorpio, the moon is at 5 degrees of Taurus. And so this is telling us that we're going to be dealing with possibly some hidden agendas coming to light. We are going to have to assess what of our inheritance do we value and what do we not value. This is going to be on a personal level, and then also on the greater scale, things like the legacy of Western civilization. How much do we value it? How much do we want to ditch it and try something new? These are questions that are likely to come up during this eclipse portal. And if you are born in that window, it may be extra so for you for the whole year. Now, an eclipse portal, that 2 weeks, it is said that what happens in the 2 weeks of an eclipse portal, it gives you the opportunity to do 18 months worth of healing in just 2 weeks, which is one reason why I focus so much on it in my work, because it's like, oh man, the stars have aligned for some super turbocharged healing, and to get our acts together, we can change our lives in 2 weeks in a way that is not always possible just any time. So this is a really exciting time of the year. And It's an 18-month. The reason why they say it's 18 months squished into 2 weeks is because eclipses have to do with mathematical calculations called the moon's nodes. It's just math, but the moon's nodal axis shifts every 18 months. So that's why they say 18 months squished into 2 weeks. It's like all the life lessons that we could have gotten from that nodal axis over the 18 months that it's in charge. It's being squished into this 2-week period. So if you're conscious of it, you can take advantage of it and really, really bless your own life and the lives of everyone around you. Every time you work on yourself, you're blessing everyone that you ever will meet, everyone you have ever met, all of your ancestors, all of your progeny. You're blessing everybody. So this is a big opportunity to bless a lot of lives just by focusing on yourself, just by taking care of yourself, taking responsibility for your own healing, being aware of what's going on in the greater environment of like the planets and current events and yourself and how you fit into the big picture. Just by becoming more aware of it, you're going to be able to harness that energy and use it to propel yourself forward. And that is really exciting. Okay, let's recap. If you are born between October 14th and October 28th, you have a very powerful year ahead of you. And I think that's probably the best word for it. It's going to be powerful. You can use that power to propel yourself forward. You can drown in the depths of that power. And it's really going to be up to you. It's going to be up to the choices that you make and the attitude that you have going into it. So today, now you know the secret. The secret is you have a powerful year ahead. It doesn't have to be bad. This might be a fabulous, fabulous year for you, a year full of resets and incredible growth. And I couldn't be more excited for you. All you have to do is maintain your good attitude. So thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Of course, come hang out on Facebook. If you have a bunch of questions or something, Intuitive Healing with Ali Duzette. I will love to hang out with you. And yeah, tune back in for just in the next couple of days. We're going to have a lot to say about the eclipse portal, and I'm here to help us all get through it just fine. So thank you for being here, and I hope you have the best day.